You're too late. Or maybe almost too late. The child will be sacrificed, life for life.
What kind of sick medieval shit is this?
Continuing from its predecessor, Resident Evil Village follows the character Ethan Winters as he finds himself in a Transylvanian nightmare, where everything is trying to take a bite out of him. Resident Evil Village is a first-person horror survival experience that over the course of the game blends nicely into action horror. Wield a variety of different weapons to defeat Lycans and other bloodthirsty fiends, ranging from a simple handgun to a grenade launcher. Other than not being able to run very fast, the combat plays really well, and because ammo is a limited resource, deciding which weapon you'll use during each fight has its own weight to it. The game brings back its limited inventory system with a nice upgrade. While extra ammo still takes up space, key non-combat items, herbs, metal, scrap, chem fluid, and gunpowder don't. This was very appreciated. It really streamlined the gameplay since there isn't any kind of storage chest in Village. The mysterious Duke is a merchant who you'll buy and sell from. You can even give him cooking ingredients you find out in the world to cook you some permanent upgrades. He also upgrades your weapon's stats and offers recipes for crafting different types of ammo, and with the large amount of money you receive throughout the game, it always feels like you're progressing one way or another. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a Resident Evil game without a crank puzzle, right? While there are several puzzles in the game, almost none of them were particularly difficult, especially when the game plainly tells you what you need in order to move on. It wasn't a deal breaker, but I would have appreciated less hints from the game itself. Like I said earlier, the game goes from survival horror to campy action survival, which honestly I really liked. It's almost got a Tim Burton Brothers Grimm vibe, and it's just the right amount of goofy without ever feeling like it's too much. With the game focused on action, it feels less scary and just more unsettling. The game is around a 10-hour experience, which surprisingly felt okay. There wasn't a lot of pointless filler. Every experience and every character was captivating in their own twisted way to hold my attention. From Lady Dimitrescu to fleshy hobgoblin to mad scientist, the game oozes variety, and not just in themes, but with location and enemy types. The monsters you face are definitely a step up from Resident Evil 7's blob monsters. Village's enemies feel more like good old-fashioned Transylvanian monsters, and with my arsenal of weapons, there were moments I felt like I was playing Van Helsing. The locations also vary from big castles to murky swamps to villainous factories. Even though many of the areas felt fairly linear, the level design and use of the environment felt clever and immersive. It made exploring every corner of the world all the more delightful. The narrative evolves rather nicely over time and manages to feel consistent all the way through, despite its transition from survival to action horror. While you don't need to play Resident Evil 7 to play Village, playing the previous game does offer a lot of context for some of Village's plot points that might have seemed to came out of nowhere. As a gamer who doesn't often replay games, I will say that I do find the replayability rather high for this game. With the combat fun and entertaining, and the experience being enjoyable from start to finish, I'd have no problem going through it again. Generally, even if one level leaves a bad taste in my mouth, I won't want to replay it. But for Resident Evil, each level felt polished and just the right amount of challenging without feeling frustrating. My one negative is that once you lower the difficulty, you can't change it back. I noticed at one point my game went from standard to casual, which mildly irritated me. After dying one time, I must have button mashed my way through to an option that made me go on to casual, which was disappointing. With how linear the game is, I'm surprised it isn't just chapter based with the option to change difficulty for each chapter. It's not a big deal because the game is fun and I'm already replaying it, but it is something I was irritated by. Overall, Resident Evil Village manages to feel similar to most of its previous games while also feeling brand new. It strikes the perfect balance of campy horror and unsettling moods to keep you engrossed through its off-the-rails narrative. The combat is fun, the puzzles, while straightforward, were interesting enough to hold my attention, and the conclusion to the game's story felt incredibly satisfying. If you're a fan of the Resident Evil series, or fans of good old campy horror, it'll definitely be worth your $60.
Stay the fuck down!
I hope you all enjoyed the review. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not already a member, and if you've played Resident Evil Village, make sure to give me thoughts of the game in the comments below. And until next time, this is Game Ghost. Happy gaming.